সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, বিরতির পর আপনাদের সবাইকে আবারও আমন্ত্রণ কমিউনিটি ম্যাটার্সে। আজকে আমরা কথা বলছি নিউ ব্রিটিশ প্রাইম মিনিস্টার অ্যান্ড হিজ ক্যাবিনেট। আমরা আগের সেগমেন্টে কথা বলছিলাম বরিস জনসনের লিডারশিপ কি ব্রিটেন এবং আমাদের কমিউনিটি, ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটি বা বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটিকে কি কতটা আপনার আশা আমরা পেতে পারি, আমরা কতটা গ্লোবাল ব্রিটেন দেখতে পাবো। আমরা যেই আগের সেগমেন্টে বলছিল যে বরিসের লিডারশিপ আমাদের কমিউনিটির জন্য কতটা করতে পারবে, কতটা পারবে না, এটা নিয়ে মিক্সড রিয়াকশন আমরা দেখতে পেরেছি আমাদের প্যানেলিস্টদের মাঝে। আমরা এই সেগমেন্টে আরও কথা বলবো এই পার্টিকুলার টপিকে এবং তার যেসব এজেন্ডা, ব্রেক্সিট, হাউজিং ক্রাইসিস এ বিগ ইস্যু, তারপরে লেফট বিহাইন্ড সিটিজ এবং টাউনস, ওইসব নিয়ে তার কি প্ল্যান, ইনফ্রাস্ট্রাকচার ডেভেলপমেন্ট নিয়ে কি প্ল্যান, এসব নিয়ে আমরা কথা বলার চেষ্টা করবো। আপনাদের যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে বা কোনো অভিমত থাকে, আমাদের স্ক্রিনের নিচে যে ফোন নাম্বার আছে বা ইমেল অ্যাড্রেস আছে তাতে আপনারা আমাদের সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে পারবেন। মে আই ইন্ট্রোডিউস মাই panelists once again for those of you have joined this segment. আমার হাতে ডান পাশে উপস্থিত আছেন জনাব আতিক রহমান, উনি ফরমার চেয়ার অফ ইস্টার্ন কনজারভেটিভ পার্টি। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ফর জয়নিং আস টুডে। আমার হাতের বাম পাশে উপস্থিত আছেন কাউন্সিলর পুরুমিয়া, হি ইজ এ কাউন্সিলর ফ্রম লন্ডন বারো অফ টাওয়ার হ্যামলেটস, হিজ কনস্টিটুয়েন্সি ইজ মাইল্যান্ড। আমার হাতে সর্ববামে উপস্থিত আছেন জনাব আফজাল সাইদ মুন্না, উনি ডাইভার্সিটি অফিসার, লিবারেল ডেমোক্রেট, নিউহাম বার্কিং অ্যান্ড ডেগেনহাম এরিয়া। আপনাদের তিনজনকে অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য। অন আওয়ার লাস্ট সেগমেন্ট উই ওয়ার টকিং অ্যাবাউট leadership of Boris Johnson, whether it creates some sort of optimism for the nation as a whole and for our community, and we had very mixed reaction from our panelists. Mr. Atik Rahman, you are very optimistic, and he said he wants to work as a he wants to actually increase the cross-party relationship in order to sort out many problems. You know, he wants job to be done. However, other panelists there had a very mixed reaction to his personality, whether he will stick to his word, whether he got some sort of vulnerable personality, volatile personality of changing himself. So do you think Boris will stick to his word?
Well, I just want to address...
I mean, when he was mayor of London, he was a great advocate for single market. He was a great advocate for free movement, but now he has changed his tone the moment he stepped down, as the moment his tenure has finished as a mayor. Do you think Boris will stick to his word?
I'd just like to pick on two things which both Purubhai and Amrabhai are questions at. First of all, Jeremy Corbyn has not seen off three prime ministers. David Cameron stepped down, Theresa May stepped down, not because of Jeremy Corbyn, because of the Conservative Party.
So there is a problem in the House.
Well,
I mean, there's a problem in Conservative family.
Well,
right?
David Cameron really had no choice. He was adamantly and vehemently in the Remain camp, and as you know, we voted to leave. He could not have sustained any form of credibility to take us forward.
Remember the famous quote from him: "Breeds don't quit." But he quit, actually.
He quit. He quit because he's
so
generally...
this volatile personality, it is in
no, I don't know. It's not a volatile personality. He could not legitimately take this country out of the EU where he was against it. I'm realizing that question, the 350 million pounds on the side of the court.
250.
350 million. Is that what you're referring to on the
bus?
On the bus.
Yes.
I think it was 250, I think.
350 million pounds.
Right.
First of all, he didn't say that they are going to put it in the NHS. And secondly, there was a court case, you know, the courts have held the 350 million pound figure is actually correct. And we are now putting in 394 million pounds into the NHS on a weekly basis. So, you know, that is not a lie. That was, it was very cleverly done by Vote Leave, I have to admit. But it wasn't a lie. Has Boris Johnson changed his mind? Boris Johnson has had a long career, a very successful career, both as a journalist, twice elected mayor of London, the most diverse city in the world, as a foreign secretary, as an MP, and now as prime minister. Boris Johnson has in the past advocated, you know, he's a supporter of the single market, etc. But the fact is this country had a monumentous choice to make, leave or remain. And as we all know, he backed leave. because he passionately believes there is a much bigger opportunity outside of the EU for us. But he's also made it clear, let's not forget, that this is not a war between the UK and Europe. This is us leaving the political institution that is the European Union whilst maintaining a professional relationship. And that must be right. If the country is voted to leave, then we must withdraw ourselves from the EU. It has taken 3 years, but then it was always going to take around about this time. First of all, we had about 6 months where Gina Miller took the government to court, which she won, and the courts held that only Parliament can authorise triggering Article 50. That is, there's nothing wrong with that. And the withdrawal treaty itself refers to a 2-year period to negotiate a withdrawal agreement or leave without one. So either, whichever way we look at it, it was going to take around about 2.5 years anyway. Theresa May brought back a deal. It wasn't passed in Parliament 3 times. Labour brought back a deal. I'm not entirely sure what that deal was, but that's failed in Parliament twice, I think. So, you know, Parliament has become locked. But that doesn't mean that we should not leave. And I most certainly do not agree that this country has suddenly changed its mind and we should have a people's vote, a confirmatory vote, which now the Liberal Democrats have come out and said, we won't even accept a second referendum outcome if the outcome is leave.
Right.
So this is a, you know, all respect to the Liberal Democrats, they went into the 2017 election on their manifesto, it said we want to remain. That was clear cut. The Conservative Party and the Labour Party both said they would deliver Brexit. For the Conservatives' part, we had 2 aspects. One, which is normally talked about.
They keep delaying it. I mean,
Parliament keeps delaying it. Let's be clear, it's Parliament who's delaying
it's Parliament, but unless and until Prime Minister can come up with some sort of feasible option, some sort of good deal, then obviously Parliament has
well, let's see
all the
where
right.
we are. I can understand why the Liberal Democrats didn't vote for it. I can't understand why the Labour Party didn't vote for it. And no doubt Purubai is going to, will no doubt explain what was so wrong with it. Where we are now, and this is why Boris Johnson's absolutely right, the 31st of October is the date. We are leaving, and he made this statement clear in the House, whatever the circumstances.
Right.
And he wants that it is the House's responsibility to deliver Brexit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Labour Party didn't vote for former Prime Minister Deal, and he's saying that Labour Party could do that. He clearly understands why Lib Dem didn't do that, but why didn't Labour Party vote for it?
Well, you know, it's good shifting the blame onto Parliament.
I'm not shifting the blame. You didn't vote for it, and I would like to know why.
Conservatives have a majority in Parliament. So, you know, any government, traditionally in British history, always got their programme through because they had a majority in Parliament. The Conservative Party couldn't deliver Brexit, because they can't even agree. And what's happened is the Conservative Party has, over the years, been taken over by extremists. That's the right-wing,
When you say
far right,
extreme, what do you mean?
basically people like the Vote Leave who played
Not everyone in Vote Leave there.
Vote Leave wasn't a Conservative party.
Posters of brown people in queues, and they're saying they're trying to come in. You know, let's be honest.
That was Nigel Farage. There's nothing.
We're talking about the
not
British
Vote Leave.
Bangladeshi community. You know, don't be fooled by the rhetoric. You know, these people are backed by very extreme cabinet, very extreme rhetoric. Boris Johnson himself used Islamophobic and racist rhetoric, and then he had to apologize. So, and he's backed by Donald Trump, who basically the first thing he did was put a Muslim ban on people from certain countries can't come into the United States.
Wrong to have a good relationship with America.
That is the backer.
Don't you agree?
No, that is the backer of Boris Johnson. That is the backer of the Conservatives. You know, I don't understand how, what benefits they would bring to the British Bangladeshi community, the Muslim community, or the ethnic minority community, because the rhetoric that's been coming out from Boris Johnson, if you read his columns, and from his cabinet, is a ethnic, nationalistic rhetoric,
Well, Muslim
where there is no there is no place for diversity, and that why did he describe
His
Muslim
new chancellor,
women?
look at his new chancellor, the person who is in charge of fifth largest economy. He
In
himself is a
British
Muslim.
in Bangladeshi history, we had the company Raj and we had company officers.
Right.
So no,
So
no matter,
you say-
no
are you
matter
saying
how many
this is not the
company
proper-
officers you have, the rhetoric and the agenda is of the company. So no matter how many monkeys
But
you
that-
have, the organ grinder and the music is a different music, and the organ grinder is a different person.
Am I a monkey as well then?
So
Am I one of the monkeys?
I'm puzzled as to how you could support a right-wing Islamophobic administration. Boris Johnson has used Islamophobic rhetoric. A lot of his cabinet have very, Jacob Rees-Mogg has used very divisive rhetoric. Their backers like Aaron Banks use divisive rhetoric. I got Facebook ads from Vote Leave, Aaron Banks, and they use Islamophobic rhetoric to basically wind up people, to basically say that they're blaming everything on immigrants, where it's the government who cut back police officers, it's the government, Tory government who stopped housing being built, it's the Tory government who basically cut funding to the NHS, and all they could come up with is blame immigrants, blame people like me, you and the audience who are watching. We're apparently to blame for
Right.
all of this mess, which they created, and that's
Boris,
what it is.
I mean,
I think two
during
things need to be
I'll-
corrected.
I'll come back.
Yeah,
I'll come
let
back
me
to you.
correct two
Sure,
things.
I'll come back to you. When Boris made his first appearance during his first Prime Minister question time, he was very positive about immigrants. He is talking passionately about letting people, giving people a second chance. He was talking about illegal immigrant. He was talking about introducing a point-based system where skill will be given priority. So, is it not a good thing?
No, he talks a good talk, but what it is, look at his actions. Look at his actions in the past. And look at his articles in the newspapers,
Right.
where he's time and time again. He was offensive towards Muslim women. He was offensive towards black people. So it's a repeated offender towards foreigners as well. He made derogatory statements. As a foreign secretary, he was insulting
Thank
to
you.
foreign
Thank-
people.
thank you. I understand you.
So let's look at people's actions, not just their words.
Thank you. Mr. Afzal Said Munna, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean,
Boris, he speaks as a prime minister. He speaks passionately about.
well, let's
global
not
Britain and
let's not create the negative energy from everything. Yeah, there are some certain things positives. We are not angels. We are humans. So we made with black and white. The thing is that Boris started his career as a columnist, as a journalist in Times in 1986, and he was accused in his first career of falsifying quotations which he lied. So it started his first career as a lie. Now, you must be saying to me that, okay, you started your career first, you might make mistakes, which is quite understandable. But if you looked into that, what Purubhai was saying, that in the entire history till today, Boris is a comedian. Right? Now, there are few things he actually said when he became a prime minister, which we must have to look through with the clear lenses, whether it is really going to impact us or not. Number one, I really appreciate what he said in terms of increasing the number of police. He talked about securing the safety of the community.
immigration. Let's talk about. He's quite
Yes,
passionate
so
about
he is very passionate about by saying those. He mentioned about he's going to introduce new premium system for the school education system. He is going to give more money in the schoolings. He will ensure the jobs and the security. And yesterday, I believe he went to Manchester to deliver his speeches by saying that Northern Powerhouse,
Northern
things
Powerhouse,
like there is a
Between Leeds and
direct
Manchester.
train between Leeds and Manchester, which is very promising, which is obviously connecting our community. But the thing is, Adnan Bhai, it's a very big question mark. A person who started his career with a lie and till today he is lying, is he a reliable or trustworthy person to believe as a prime minister?
Right.
We have huge hope to a prime ministers. We can argue on many things as a political party, as a political member, but when you look into that as a community persons, right, we are very passionate to know whether this is really going to happen or not, or you just a big question mark.
Thank you very much. we'll talk more in detail about new Prime Minister and his cabinet. We need to go for a break. সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, আজকে কমিউনিটি ম্যাটার্সে আমরা কথা বলছি নিউ ব্রিটিশ প্রাইম মিনিস্টার অ্যান্ড হিজ ক্যাবিনেট। আমরা যাবো একটা বিরতিতে, আমাদের সাথে।